What's up guys, this is Saiyan here coming at you with another deck profile video. I know it's been a while. No, I haven't had COVID, I haven't had any of that stuff. I just didn't make any videos. But today, based on some current flaring up of the Gundam M.S. War card game, I'm bringing you one of my deck profiles. This is one of my sort of Battleship decks. Now, for those of you who don't know our new rule set that we've developed for our little community, we don't allow mixed factions currently. Obviously, that is a format that we are looking to test out and explore to see with the card changes that we made, the errata changes, how they would interact. But for now, we're just keeping it clean, so there are no mixing between Zeon and Earth Federation, and no mixing between Oz or Earth Federation and any of that stuff. So this, guys, is a Principality of Zeon deck just for you guys. Let's have a look at it. Okay, so we start out with our 1-drop units. I'm running 3 DOPs here. DOP does a really good job in coming down, obviously, turn 1. If you have a Go MS card in play, then you can return all your well, basically you can return this card to your hand. If you have the Gaos down, you can also use the Gao to basically bring back your DOPs into your deck and reshuffle your deck. So that, you know, it's multi-functions there. Obviously, Gao is one of the Battleship cards that we are using in this deck. The good thing about Battleship cards is that your opponent must have 2 units in play that can defend together. They're not allowed to defend together unless the card says that it can defend together one card with another. For example, a good example to that is the starter deck, Mercurius and Valiant. They can defend together, or your opponent needs to have a Battleship to block a Battleship. If they can't do that, then obviously Battleships are going to go through and do direct damage to the opponent's deck, which can be quite devastating to the opponent if there's nothing they can do about it. So we got 3 DOPs. This is our 1-drop, just a nice little early game card, usually chum block, nothing else besides that. Then we got 3 Zaku 2s. When this guy attacks, he gets +1 attack, +1 clash point, which is really good. It's a 2 for 2, so it's you know, it's an okay card. I mean, you have to have a Zeon deck with a Zaku in it, right? One of my favorite cards, actually, another early drop, a 2-drop, a Battleship, Char's Musai. You can destroy this card to move Char Zaku from the dry dock back to your hand. Again, a Battleship, it's an early attacker. It has additional functionality in case you lose Char Zaku into your dry dock. Running 3 DOPs here, sort of similar function to what your Zaku does, but just, you know, the big brother to that Zaku. The DOM is a 3-cost card with 3 clash points, and again, if it is attacking, it gets additional 1 clash point. So it's a nice little card, just really to get you to bring out your Battleships. I mentioned the Gao, obviously it's a 3-drop, 3 clash point. It is a Battleship, again, very important keyword, and it does obviously play with your DOPs. You can bring your DOPs back from your dry dock back into your deck. Definitely the MVP of the deck is 3 Char Zaku. This is just a really good card. A 4 clash point for 4. If it basically can be moved back to your MS dock immediately after your attack phase, if you have a Char as naval pilot attached. What's really cool about that is basically you can go out and attack, and then you can still defend with Char Zaku if you have Char attached to it. So it's just a really good multifunctional card. This is definitely the heart and soul of the deck. You want to get this guy out to be able to get some good hits and blocks in. Probably my favorite card in the deck, Mobile Armor, Azam, or Adzum. Actually, realistically, there's a couple of problems with the spelling of the names in this particular game. It's a 4 clash point for 4, but we realistically want to keep this guy back up to be a blocker. It's sand, which can be quite useful in certain situations to block a unit that has sand, and maybe your opponent makes it unblockable. The mobile armor ruling, I believe it means if it's attacking, it gets +1 to its attack points. But again, we're using this guy to be a defender, and what we can do is once per turn we can move a card from an opponent's supply base to dry dock instead of attacking. So we still ping in for that 1 damage, but then we're keeping back a blocker for our opponent's turn. Super good stuff. I always like to see an Adzum in my starting hand. And then we got Grabro, mostly to cover the C-type cards as well, so we have a C-type blocker. Another mobile armor, which if it attacks, it gets +1 attack points. It's a 5/4/4, so it's actually quite nice to see that +1 come onto this card. And also, only MS type C cards can defend against Grabro, so it could be an unblockable if your opponent's not careful enough. But every color has some access to C-type cards. It's not like it's gonna be unblockable. That's just not the case. Moving on to pilots, this is quite a pilot deck heavy deck because again the card pool for Principality of Zeon is quite limited. We literally have the starter deck and a couple of promo cards. We're developing a few more cards for Zeon and also for the Earth Federation, but they're still very much in the early stages. We want to put out a nice little full fan set with all the cards that should have come out but didn't come out from Bandai when they were releasing this game. So Flanagan Boon, cool little card, a 1/4, a 1 pilot. It basically increases the clash points by 1 and adds MSC type to the MS card this one's attached to. So it can be, again, really good just to get an additional C-type blocker down, particularly against the Oz deck that may want to attack you with a lot of C units, thinking that they can get in with unblockable damage. I really like Garmazabi, but literally this card is not a 3-off in the deck. We want to see this card at 2. It's still a cool card. Increases the clash points by 1 for the unit this guy is attached to. If he is attached to a Principality of Zeon M.S type Battleship card, then it will give you 2 clash points instead of the 1. So cool card, but obviously it is limited to. It is better on battleships realistically, as per the anime as well. Definitely the strongest character card in terms of increasing clash points is Ramboral. It gives you +2 clash points to whatever unit this guy is attached to, but when he's destroyed he goes to the defunct pile rather than your dry dock, so obviously that's not a big thing, but it is something to be aware of when you're playing with Ramboral. We also have Makubay. I would probably say the best sort of pilot card in terms of functionality. Not only does it give whichever unit it's attached to +1 clash point, it also reduces the cost of all your event cards by 1. How we basically do it is, instead of granting basically a constant -1 reduction, you can sort of tap it for that 1 use, just like what we do with some other cards. I believe that's the ruling we came up on. It might be actually continuous. Yeah, I'm going to check on that. Just assume it's continuous, and just go with that. That's the best thing to say. Just enjoy the game. And of course, very importantly, we got 2 different copies of Shara's Navel here. We have the starter deck, Shar. Very important that he is a new type. That can be quite important for a lot of situations, particularly if you go up against Earth Federation cards. And he increases the clash points by 2 when attacking or defending a mobile suit card with 5 clash points or above. So he's really good at going up against big guys. He's not very good going up against lower level guys. This is why I opted to run 2. and I'm running one promo Chara's Enable, also a new type, and this guy basically allows your attack to be unblockable unless your opponent has a no, they definitely can't. An MS card with no pilots attached can't defend against an MS card with this pilot attached. So if your opponent goes with a deck that has a very low amount of pilots, and if you can get rid of them, Char's gonna go in for basically a good amount of damage each turn, and then he can come back and he can defend the next turn with Char Zaku. So in my opinion, this is the killer combo that you want to be on. Not to say that the starter deck Char isn't good, I just think you get more usability out of this. I would probably run a 2-1 if I had another promo Char, but I think the 2-1 situation is also really good. Realistically, it's mostly playstyle dependent as well. We only run one type of battlefield card, but we are running the full playset of it. This is pretty much the only way for Zeon to draw any cards. You need to have more than one mobile armor cards in play, so you need to have basically 2 mobile armor cards. This is why I'm running, obviously I'm running Azam and I'm running Grabro as well, to have access to those mobile armor cards. It's a 3 cost, and during your preliminary phase, basically you draw an extra card during each player's preliminary phase. So you draw one during yours and one during your opponent's. It's a huge amount of card draw, but it's also with a bullseye on its head. As soon as this comes down, your opponent's going to try and get rid of it. So you want to make sure that they haven't got a huge amount of cards in their hand when you play the mining region. Because if they get to destroy it, then you get to keep 1 card in your hand and you have to discard the rest of your hand into your dry dock. So the drawback is pretty huge, but we do have a couple of cards that allow us to discard from our opponent's hand and sort of prepare the situation where we can bring down the Zeon mining region and just draw a huge amount of cards and completely take over the game. We're running 3 Spies. Send an opponent's event card of your choice from your opponent's hand to the dry dock. So this allows you to actually look into your opponent's hand and select an event card. If they haven't got any, you still have information as to what's in their hand, giving you good preparation to bring the mining region down. So we got 3 Spies, and we also have 3 the red Comets. This also looks into your opponent's hand, and it basically picks a card with Gundam in its name from your opponent's hand and sends it to the dry dock. This can be good against certain decks, and it can be awful against other decks. It is absolutely a godsend if you go up against Wing Gundam faction. It is an absolute godsend if you go up against Earth Federation. It is completely useless against Zeon, and it is pretty much useless if you're going up against Oz as well, I think. Well, Oz has only Appion that you can get out, which is, to be fair, a suit that is run in most decks, at least a 1 of, maybe a 2 of. So you can still obviously find gold running the Red Comet. Usually if you have both in your hand, if you can run out a Spy, there is a higher chance that your opponent is going to have an event in their hand. Run this out. If they do have a card with Gundam in their hand, then run out the Red Comet. Once you got some information about your opponent's hand, if you just want to make sure you hit him with the Spy, use the Red Comet. Yes, they haven't got a card with Gundam in their name. That's fine, not the worst case. But you do get a peek, and then you know that whether your Spy is going to rip an event out or not, and if not, then don't play the Spy just yet, play it later. And then last but not least, definitely the best, but it's a little bit more of a mid-game card, is Makubay's Tactics. It's got 2 functions. You can either send your opponent's battlefield card to the dry dock, basically destroying a battlefield card, which can be very useful, and we actually made sure when we made rules changes that every faction has access to battlefield removal, because the current rule set says that both players can have 1 battlefield out in the game, and only a card effect can remove the battlefield card. So they finally became usable, but also you know, they have to do a little bit more work to get it removed. And any case, if it's removed, you always get the battle scar. So that's a pretty huge sort of shift in the game where battlefields just became, you know, playable and a lot more important than what they used to be previously. So this guy, this card either removes a battlefield card, which is super useful, or basically your opponent has to discard 3 cards from their hand into that dry dock. You don't get to see what's in their hand, but if you run out either a Rack Comets and or a Spy, particularly a Spy is normally good. Get an event card removed. If they're down to like 3 cards, play Makubay's Tactics, and you just basically nullify their hand. Super useful. Particularly for a deck that really needs a setup to get its draw engine going. But besides that, we got some good defense, particularly with Char's Navel and Azam. Char's Navel, Zaku, and Azam. And we also get, if we're just a little bit lucky, we get a few nice unblockables in as well with the Battleship cards. If our opponent's not prepared, obviously, generally against a lot of different types of decks. So this is it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this little video. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you leave a comment below. Let's discuss what you think about this deck. I know this is mostly in concern to the MS War sort of little community that we have out there. But yeah, let me know if you want to see my other deck profiles as well. I'm more than happy to post it for you guys. And up until next time, Saiyan signing out. Peace.